Alrighty there, folks, welcome into today's video. This one we're getting into my number one tip for all investors in the market. It's going to be a really important video, and I spent some time over the past couple hours putting this together because I want to make sure it is like fully sinks in what I'm talking about in this video, because it's one thing if you just hear it, right? And you just hear, hey, you're supposed to do this one thing, right? It's another to have this explained in a way that it really fully hits you so you really understand how impactful this can be. And this is something that I came across in the stock market in my first few years that I really got to understand. Like, if I'm going to really build up to 6 figures in the market, 7 figures and beyond in the stock market, there's certain things I have to do in order to get myself there, or it's all just a pipe dream, right? And in life, there's what's called, your dreams. Your dreams are over here, and what you're putting in the work for, and how you get to make those dreams possible. And so whatever those dreams are, whether that's to, have 6 figures, 7 figures in the market, 8 figures in the market, or whether it be to retire early or travel the world or whatever it is, okay? There's a million different things. Have your kids grow up better than you grew up, whatever it is, right? If you're going to make those dreams into reality, there's certain things that you have to do to get yourself there. And there's certain things, certain sacrifices you have to make to get yourself there, or you're never going to make those dreams of yours, what you want to become a reality, you're never going to make that happen if you don't do these certain things. And so, this should be an impactful video, I hope, to a lot of folks out there, and I hope it really sinks in so you really, really understand exactly what I'm talking about here, okay? So when I started in the market and started kind of, looking into investing and doing a little dabbling of investing in the market, 2008, 2009, I, came across compounding calculator. My accounting teacher, taught us, to kind of work with a compounding calculator and kind of find out, different things and plug some different numbers in and whatnot. And so at that time I was working at Quick Trip. This is way back in the day. Alright, you guys ready to see a picture of me way back in the day at Walgreens working? Well, let's go ahead and take a peek. There he is. There's that guy, okay? Working at Walgreens and making, $8, $9 an hour or whatever it was back then. But that's where I started my investing journey. And so I ran some numbers, and I had around $300 or so to kind of invest in the market. And I basically was running numbers based upon how much I was making. I was living with my parents at that time. And I had about an extra $200 a month to invest. So I said, well, how much money will I have roughly in about, let's say when I'm like 30 years old, because I was like 18, 19 years old at that time. So I'm like, over the next 11 years to get me to like 30. And if I just get the average return in the stock market that you should expect, around 8%, that was a number that was thrown around at that time. Well, how much money is that going to add up to? And so I ran up numbers, and I was like, okay, so when I'm 30 years old, I should have roughly like $40,000 in stocks, right? And so, to me, that just wasn't cutting the mustard. I was like, that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not what I'm going after. I don't want to have just 40K to my name, when I'm 30 years old, especially if I'm going to grind and spend some time doing this. So then I thought, okay, well, what if I get a better return, right? So then I was like, if you can get a great return over a period of time, and I have all these stocks to invest in. I was investing at a time when the market, or at least starting my investment journey, was time the market was very down. This is in the Great Recession, right? And I thought, okay, I have all these different companies to pick from, thousands of different stocks. So let's say I can get something like a 20% return. Well, if I can do that and invest that same amount of money, hey, I'm doing a lot better. I basically just doubled up, the amount of money. So I'd have roughly $79,000, $80,000 in stocks when I'm 30 years old, which was cool. But then I was like, oh man, that still doesn't sound that dang exciting. Like, I really wanted to have like at least $1 million in stocks when I was 30. And so I'm like, that's not that great. Okay. So now I was thinking, well, what if I start working more hours? Right. And at this time, I think I got also a raise. I would call it a raise to like $9.10 an hour at Walgreens. So I was like, what if I start working more hours and I cut back some expenses? Like, I canceled my gym membership, I believe, and, did a few other things. And so I was like, all right, so I'm going to make more money. So basically I started having about $450 a month to put towards stocks. Now that I cut some expenses out of my life and started working some more hours at Walgreens. Now, keep in mind that $450, this was still while living with my parents. So I still had some bills I had to pay, but I didn't pay rent to live at the house. I didn't pay any of the housing expenses. Most of the groceries I ate were still like my parents' groceries at that time. And so, it's like, okay, I got $450, but if I was living on my own, I wouldn't even have this $450, right? And so I found out, like, if I did that, hey, I'm going to be better off, right? 175,000. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't want to, I don't want to live with my parents forever. Like, I got to move out and do those sorts of things. So, that 450, you can't even live on your own for 450. Like, that's not going to happen. And so I'm like, oh gosh, like how am I going to make this work where I could actually invest money, right? Build up as much money as possible. And that's when I came across a little sign when I went into a Quick Trip one time to get something to drink. I was on a little pool route for my dad. I was cleaning like 10 pools a day or whatever. And, I used to stop at this Quick Trip and I saw this now hiring sign and it said, they're starting assistant managers at like $40,000 a year. And so I was like, okay, shoot. And so I applied for Quick Trip at like 1 a.m. and got a call back the next day and got a job at Quick Trip. And so I was like, dang, this could be kind of life-changing for me, to be quite honest. Like, this was a life-changing move that was going to happen, because I was running the numbers and I was like, okay, I could basically start investing $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month now at this point in time, right? And so if I'm investing, because my expenses were still insanely low, and then I was like, even if I move out, I'll probably have gotten a promotion at Quick Trip because there was a lot of opportunity to kind of move up the ranks fast, get to good bonusing stores. And so regardless if I moved out or, when I was just still living with my parents, I had like $2,000 a month extra to invest. So I ran the numbers on this, and now we're talking about $773,000. So just by that change of going from Walgreens to Quick Trip, I was going to have massive amounts more of money. It's like night and day, right? Now, it was a tough decision to leave Walgreens because I actually really liked the coworkers I worked with at that particular Walgreens. I had a lot of fun. To be honest, at that particular Walgreens I was working at back in the day, I had a lot of fun. And so to leave that was actually kind of a tough decision because I was like, man, I'm actually really enjoying myself. I looked forward to going to work each day, and I always had a good time, but there was this huge opportunity. And so I'm like, I can either make this sacrifice and go start working overnights at Quick Trip, and man, they put me in the hood right away. And so I was working overnights in the hood for basically day one at Quick Trip, and that's not the most fun. That's not the most fun job in the world. From what I was doing, working during the day and with a bunch of fun people to work with, to all of a sudden working overnights all by myself at a Quick Trip in the hood, it wasn't the best situation. But it was either I sacrificed fun and maybe my safety. I might have to call the cops a few times working at that Quick Trip, or I could have a lot less money, or maybe never move out of my parents' house. And so I'm like, shoot, I got to get on my grind here. I got to make some sacrifice in my life if I'm going to get to, where I want to get to financially. And I made that decision, right? So then there was another opportunity in front of myself that was Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. It was calling. And in Charlotte, the thing was, we had a new division that was opening up in South Carolina and North Carolina. South Carolina was first, and then after that, Charlotte about a year later. And so I had this opportunity to move out to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the company was expanding, and I understood like I was going to get, promoted faster out there because there's just a lot more opportunity. And so even though stores weren't bonusing out there, I was still going to move up the ranks faster, so I was going to make extra money in Charlotte. And at that time, at least, the living expenses were pretty comparable between living in Arizona, where I was living, and living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, I think, has gotten a lot more expensive, but shoot, out here in Arizona, it's gotten a lot more expensive as well. So I was like, okay, I can make some more money out there. So then I was like, if I work out there, get promoted pretty quickly, I can start making basically having about $2,500 extra dollars a month to put towards stocks, essentially, right? And so now we're talking about over an 11-year span, $2,500. Now we're talking about over an 11-year span, you're talking about almost $1 million, right? So now we're really talking. Now we're really talking about some real money. So I did that for a while, right? And then I realized, oh man, my income at Quick Trip is actually kind of limited. Even though Quick Trip's a good place to try to get promoted up the ranks, even at a place like Quick Trip, you're still going to be very, very limited. And so I started to realize, if I'm going to take things up to the next level, right? And if I'm going to, reach a lot more of these dreams and things like that, it's not going to happen working in the corporate world. It just wasn't going to happen. It's like, okay, I could go from a position where I make $60,000 to maybe making $70,000, and then wait another 3 to 5 years and get to a position where I'm making $100,000 a year, right? And then wait another 5 years into get position, I'm making $150,000. And so it's like, yeah, there's that ranks, but I'm like, by the time I'm even making like a $200,000 a year, it could be 10, 20 years from now. And that's if I do a great job. And I could still, you're still playing the politics game when you're working in corporations, right? You can still get passed by from somebody that might be buddy with the other guy that's promoting. And so you're in that sort of situation where it's like, man, it's going to be hard to climb to the next ranks. Like, this was a good starter. And so that's what led me to say, you know what, I'm going to leave Quick Trip and I'm going to move out to Vegas. And so two things really attracted me to Vegas: no taxes and easy to start a business. Very easy place, business climate in Vegas, right? And so that was a huge plus, because I'm thinking, man, if I'm going to make $200,000 a year or something like that, I need to start my own business. It's just, I'm not doing it through the corporate grind. I got to become an entrepreneur. I got to do my own dang thing where my income is not tapped by promotion opportunities and by corporate politics. And if I can have no taxes, that's just a bunch more money I could put in my no state income tax. That's just a bunch more, money I could put in my pocket, which is going to end up going in the stock market, right? And so then I started running numbers. I was like, if I start making like $200,000 a year from my own business, that's like $10K a month, roughly, if I keep my living expenses relatively low. That's like, $10K a month, roughly, I can put towards stocks. And so over an 11-year time span, if you're putting $10K to stocks, getting a 20% return over 11 years, you're at almost $4 million. And so that's what led me to say, this is like a no-brainer. Like, I've got to go out there. I've got to start businesses. I got to become an entrepreneur. And I got to do my own dang thing where my income's not tapped. Because at the end of the day, you start realizing in investing, returns are great. And if you can get great returns, awesome. But at the end of the day, if you can fix your income and get your income up, the amounts of money dwarf, even if you can get all of a sudden a 25% return or 30% return. And so that's why the most important thing when it comes to investing, and my number one tip, is get your dang income up. And I just took you through my story, and that's how I ended up scaling to 6 figures, 7 figures in the stock market. 6 figures, I got there through Quick Trip, right? But 7 figures, I got there because I started my own businesses. And if I didn't start those own businesses, I wouldn't have reached 7 figures as fast. And I wouldn't have reached multi-7 figures as fast, meaning you have, several $1 million in the market. If I would have stayed at Quick Trip, I would probably have maybe $1 million in my account right now. $1 million, maybe 1.5 million if I stayed at Quick Trip. And I'm 32 years old if people don't know out there, which isn't bad. Like, that still would have been good. But it's obviously not the numbers I have today, right? And so at the end of the day, you got to really figure out like if you have to make these sacrifices. If you're not willing to make those sacrifices to get a better job, to start your own business, to start side income streams or whatever, you are going to limit your amount of money you're going to have, and you're going to limit whatever dreams you have. You're going to have to put those to the side. And, there's an old picture we had taken quite a while ago where I had somebody throw a collage together of folks that hit 7 figures and sent us in a picture that were in the private stock group. And I can tell you, I know most of these people's backstories, and I can tell you most of them didn't just get there because they got great returns. They got there because they also had jobs where they made 100, 200K a year. And so, or had their own businesses where they made 100, 200, 300K a year. And so they got there because they took a certain amount, they invested it, they got gains on that, they, put more money in their accounts. And in a market like we're in right now, right? Think about this market we're in at the moment, right? We're in what's called, either a correction market, bear market. We hit bear market on the NASDAQ and Russell a few weeks ago. We've bounced out of that, but we're still in massive correction territory on the NASDAQ and in the Russell. We are in correction territory now on the S&P 500, and the Dow's flirting with basically a correction as well. And when you go through these corrections in the market, bear markets, crashes, whatever, right? That's when you really start to understand the power of essentially the income and having your income in a great place where you can have money to quote unquote buy the dip. And if you don't, that's when you got to start saying, okay, maybe I need some side income streams. And to get there by cutting expenses isn't usually going to get you to the promised land, right? If I just stayed working at Quick Trip making 50, 60, 70K a year, let's say for instance, right? And even kept my expenses really low, still not getting there. And obviously that's a sacrifice in itself because you're living less of a lifestyle than you could, right? Versus if you started your own business, started making 6 figures, 7 figures a year. For me, From what I've seen in my own life and what I've seen around with people close to me, the easiest way to make 6 figures a year, in my personal opinion, is starting your own business. Some people can get there going the college route and you learn, specific skills and you go to college for 4, 6, 8 years, whatever, and you come out and you're ready to, rise the ranks and you can make 6 figures plus a year at a company. But for the folks that's not your thing, right? You didn't go to college, you didn't, have parents that could pay, or you didn't want to go in all that debt, something like that. Well, then your next best bet, in my opinion, is to start your own business and start. You can even start with side income streams, passive income streams, and look for ways like that. You get more money to invest because at the end of the day, think about it, right? Imagine there's this guy, and let's say there's a guy that invested $1,000 into Tesla stock. And he made a 2,000% gain on Tesla because Tesla absolutely tore it up the last few years. And so he put $1,000 in 2018, 2019, and he got 2,000% return. All righty, cool, good for him. He got that $1,000, and now that $1,000 is worth $20,000 roughly. Good for him. That's amazing, right? 1,000 to 20,000 in a matter of a few years. Sweet. What about the guy that just put $100,000 in because he had his income in a good place, right? So he put $100,000 in Tesla stock. Well, then $100,000 is now worth $2 million. $2 million, right? And so this is where the power of having your income in a good place that you can invest really comes into power because it's going to dwarf even returns, right? And even if there's a guy that gets a lower return, but he's got his income in a good place, he's still going to always just smash the guy that is essentially, has a lower income and even is getting great returns, right? And so once again, you're not going to get there by just saving. You always want to have extra money to put towards stocks, but by, cutting a gym membership or, trying to, save $10 a month on your car insurance or something like that, that's not getting you to the magic land. I can tell you that. You got to leave your job, get better job opportunities. Never leave your job until you already got another job lined up. By the way, that's a mistake people make. They leave their job first, then go search for a job. That puts you in a huge position of weakness. Always make sure you got the next job lined up before you leave your last job. If you don't have that, don't even think about leaving your job. That puts you in a huge position of weakness. And employers like it more when you already have a good job and you're like willing to come over to them. Then they feel like you're you're going over there for reasons. And it's not like you're an unemployed person that they're like, oh man, what's wrong with you? Why are you unemployed? You should be employed. Get that next job, then go ahead and leave the last job. Or go ahead and start businesses, okay? And that's my number one tip I always have and always will have for investing in the market. Everything else comes after that. Balance sheets and income statements and valuations and business models and returns and all that stuff, that's all secondary. If you don't have your income right, then you got to get the income right first. And then we can worry about all this other stuff and how much to diversify and how much to have in this stock versus this stock. And you can kind of find your way going through that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this as always. This is kind of a little more of an older school video from me. I don't do a lot of these sorts of videos nowadays. We get so tied up into what's going on in the market, what's going on with particular stocks I'm buying, things like that, that videos like this are very, very helpful to folks. And I hope you guys got value out of it. Also, you want some free money, essentially, sign up for Moomoo with my pinned comment down there. They got a sick deal right now. One free stock worth $3 to $3,500 with deposit of any amount, literally any amount. Then you also get one free stock valued between $9 and $3,500 with a deposit of any amount. Plus, you get a free NEO share right now. And I also believe they're giving away a free TTCF share as well. But I believe that's if you deposit $100. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this as always. Thanks for joining me. Much love. And I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.